Oh my God. Oh, I thought you were going to give me a second cut on my finger. I was ready to pass out. Christ, that stings. I think I've got CD in my finger. Hello, I'm Chris.
And I'm Tom.
And you're watching That Review Show. Tom, what are we going to be talking about today?
Today we're going to be talking about Death to Smoochy.
KidNet Television proudly presents America's favorite kid show host, Rainbow Randolph!
So you'll make sure my boy dances up front, right? Gets to sit in the chair?
You want your little booger eater on my show?
Meet Randolph Smiley. He once was rich. He once was famous. And he once was sane.
Rainbow Randolph is the man. Yes, oh yes he is.
It stars an all-star cast. Ed Norton, Robin Williams, Danny DeVito is in it and also directed it. And I bought it because it looked bad.
And how right you were.
From me to you.
So the plot of Death to Smoochy essentially is a children's TV presenter gets arrested by the FBI because he's taking bribes from parents to get their kids on the show, and the network have to find a squeaky clean children's entertainer to replace Robin Williams' character who's been fired. They find Ed Norton, but he's a bit too squeaky clean, so they clash over kind of merchandising. And in the meantime, Robin Williams' character is kind of out for revenge against Ed Norton's character for taking his spot.
Yes, so as a premise, actually not a bad one. He's dodgy. He says the F word in the second scene of the film. We have this contrast. You know, you start off seeing his show and how it looks.
He's Rainbow Randolph.
Rainbow Randolph in a rainbow coat with lots of dwarves dancing with him. And then in the second scene, it's him in a shady bar, and he talks to the FBI agents who he doesn't know are, and ends up saying the F word and trying to take a bribe, and they go, "Freeze, cocksucker!" Yeah,
I mean, that's one of the kind of bits that I think the direction actually works quite nicely, because you go from him being so bright and happy to him being this horrible, sleazy...
That's the only moment where it works well. You get that contrast. You go, oh, because that's the realisation what the film's really about. And then after that, it never quite reaches the depths again. No,
I thought there was a second point at which the film worked really well, which was when it cut to the credits.
Yeah, but you remember the credits, and the credits themselves were awful. Oh.
Okay, so the first thing that I want to discuss in any depth in this film is are the characters who... they're interesting for two reasons. The first reason is that it's really unclear who the main character is.
Yeah, straight away we were discussing it. This was, I'll point out, our second viewing, and on our second viewing we were still trying to work out who the main character is. Because
Robin Williams is sort of the bad guy, but he also has such a big role in the film, kind of on his own, separate to the main story. And he's got an arc that's kind of completely independent to what's happening with the other characters, that it sort of feels like his film. Then you've got Ed Norton, who fills his slot, so he's kind of the focus of the film.
He's the focus, that's for sure.
But he doesn't feel like the main character, because at the start of the film, the executive who is tasked with finding a new talent for the sort of the slot, she feels like the main character, because kind of the film is her mission to go and find another entertainer. So, but they all they get sort of equal screen time, but they're in the same narrative. So
I think we see the film from her perspective early on, and he appears ridiculous, and therefore he's not the person we're immediately meant to empathise with. We get shots of directly, you know, close-ups of her face responding to what he's doing. So you're like, oh, we're following her and her feelings. But then after that, she doesn't really get that kind of attention from the direction.
No, all her scenes then are with Ed Norton. There's no scenes of her kind of having to deal with what's going on. It's all them kind of reacting to each other, and they obviously become, you know, a couple sort of midway through the film.
I mean, when we come on to discuss the plot as a whole, the lack of character following or character empathy from the viewer is really the part of the problem.
You wouldn't believe what it took to get these guys to throw on a couple soy dogs. Hello, people, wake up and smell the future.
So the second thing about the characters that's interesting is that they are all incredibly unlikable.
Everyone.
Ed Norton's character, Sheldon Mopes, is just...
Is that his name?
Yeah. Who plays Smoochy. That's his character on the TV show. He's just so sort of naive, and he's so squeaky clean that he's just irritating. He's so sort of happy-go-lucky.
You know what I'm talking about. I'm going to get you on these gluten-free buns before I'm finished with you. We're going to change the world, brother. All right, Sheldon.
It's the way he's played. It's partly Ed Norton's fault, I will say this, or just how he's told to play it. It feels really insincere.
He's put on kind of a southern accent.
It's cut. And I want the Cookie Song lyrics changed back to the way they were.
I will not encourage children to consume endless amounts of refined sugar. I'm sorry, I have to wake up in the morning and like myself.
There's also the sort of overly saccharine delivery. It doesn't feel like the right actor cast in the part, that's for sure.
He feels, and we'll discuss this in more depth later on, but he feels like a character from a kid's film.
There we go.
As does Robin Williams. Robin Williams
Randolph Smiley is the name of his character.
Yeah.
He's Rainbow Randolph.
And he's so ridiculously over the top. He's Robin Williams, basically.
Most of his scenes involve him getting angry and falling down the stairs in a Home Alone tonally comedy slapstick moment.
Or him sort of singing and dancing and being obscure, sort of...
Or being really angry and saying fuck.
Yes, but again in a very Robin Williams over-the-top kind of style.
Pressure building. Smoochy's popularity is stronger than ever thanks to his recent exoneration. Several movie studios are offering big bucks to bring the Smoochy story to the screen.
Bastard son of Barney! Die! Die, you stuffed son of flunk! You illegitimate Teletubby! Die, you muppet from hell! Die, you faux motherfucker!
What are you doing?
The female lead is sort of fine, but her character is quite annoying as well, because she the first time she sees Sheldon, she's got this kind of look of adoration in her eyes, and then the next scene she hates him because he's so naive, and then the next scene she thinks he's amazing because she sees him topless.
Inconsistent. That's my main gripe with that character, and she should have carried the movie because I thought she was the main character.
Yeah. So then, supporting cast, I'll discuss quickly. Danny DeVito's fine. He's Danny DeVito, you know, sort of slightly slimy, sleazy character.
He has one of the best delivered lines of the film.
Which is?
I think he just goes, "What?" or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I've never owned a gun. I don't believe in them.
Really?
Very funny.
And Ed Norton has the most honest line of the film.
Go on.
I mean, where's our dignity?
The other characters that I want to discuss very briefly, he's in a restaurant that's run by the Irish Mafia, or at least that's kind of their base of operations. He's there with his agent.
I don't recall.
And the Irish Mafia boss, who's a woman, her son, I presume, he's an ex-boxer. He's Italian-American, but he's...
The son of an Irish gangster.
Yeah. And I don't know if he is meant to have always been simple, or if the idea is that he's been sort of hit in the head so much that he's gone a bit simple.
I think that's sort of assumed.
But he is so horribly overplayed. He's like,
hey, Smoochy, hey, I'm Spinner. I'm so excited to meet you.
Well, I'm excited to meet you too, Spinner.
Hey, I'm Spinner.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're a fan of the show. That's amazing.
Hey, Smooch, you know what I love? I love when you do the jiggy ziggy dance. You know the one you do during silly time?
Oh, yeah, that's one of our big numbers.
hey! You want to see me do it?
See you do the what? The jiggy ziggy?
Yeah.
Well, sometime, you know.
No, I'll do it for you right here.
Not good enough for
Hey, Smooch, I'll do it. Watch.
It's embarrassing to watch.
embarrassing.
Hey, don't go anywhere, Smooch. I'll be right back after I take a dump.
The best scene in the film is really two scenes. At the very start, his friends come in all sizes.
It's all downhill from the
yes. Rainbow Randolph is dancing and having a lovely time, and then we get to him going, whatever, in the bar. The next best scene in the film that actually follows from something that had happened earlier in the film is when he meets his previous producer in the car, and the producer is saying to him, you can't keep doing this. You're off the air. I'm sorry, I can't do anything about it. The public has spoken.
Yeah.
And Randolph gets really upset about this. Unfortunately, also looks at the camera twice.
See, now I think you're being unfair because you had to point it out to me and I thought it was barely noticed.
He's looking at the camera!
What was...
That was... You do this. It's the magic thing where you point and suddenly there's a thing happens that everyone can see where the thing that you've said is happening.
Okay.
You did this. You did the time code. I saw that. It was witchcraft. Can I do witchcraft?
Ooh. Nice.
All
right. Yeah, I mean, Robin Williams' character sort of has an arc, which is nice. He starts off as the sleazy character, then he goes through his kind of desperate and angry and revenge phase, and then at the end he has redemption, because Ed Norton's just endlessly nice to him, even though he keeps sort of plotting to kill him and disgrace him and this kind of thing. And at the end of the film, he comes around, and that's kind of satisfying. But the problem is he's sort of the only one that does, really. Because the female character doesn't have an arc, she has a roller coaster. So by the end of the film, wherever she is, you're just so baffled by where she has been.
Her motivation throughout, in terms of her predisposition towards the male characters, is baffling.
Yeah, and Ed Norton's character has kind of a slight arc right at the end, where he almost does something really bad, but then doesn't. So there's a kind of a scene of tension where he almost gives up all his morals.
That scene was so not worth it because it was so contrived in so many ways.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just conclude characters by saying none of them work.
What does it all mean?
So, to talk about this film narratologically, or as a story as a whole, it's important to talk about the premise. The premise is quite a good one, and one that I think a lot of us can agree on, which is that, you know, celebrities aren't necessarily squeaky clean, and particularly children's show celebrities need to be more so. And so producers that produce these people, when they commit poor acts, need to fire them and get in good talent. And that's the premise of the film. It's everyone's dodgy. There's been loads of scandals in the past. Rainbow Randolph is doing the bad thing, and they go, look, this is too hot. We can't touch it.
Yep.
And that's why Randolph gets disenfranchised.
Because there are other characters. There's one other character in the film, and there are other characters mentioned who are previous presenters that they can't get back on because, oh no, he was addicted to whatever, or he killed his...
That's it. It's mentioned there's this big long past of it. So they go to the drug rehab centre. Where,
I thought you were going to say the bottom of the barrel.
Well, the bottom of the barrel, where Ed Norton is playing Kumbaya to heroin addicts. It's not Kumbaya.
Oh, we'll get you off that smackle, yes we will. Oh, we'll get you off that smackle, yes we will.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I'd forgotten that.
All of the songs in this film are atrocious. You've got two plots.
Yeah.
One is Rainbow Randolph has been deposed and is angry and wants revenge. The other plot is...
Against the wrong person.
Yes, of course. But anyway, the other plot is Smoochy, in trying to get in the big time, ends up involved with dodgy dealers. So I think, and I'm going to posit this straight away, that it should have been one or the other and made that the film. Both ruined everything.
What it needed, it needed to have both, but the plot needed to be one of those things with an antagonist. Whether that was the guy who's taken over the show and is annoying the one who wants revenge and keeps escaping death, or whether it's the guy who's now on the show and the antagonist is the guy who's out for revenge. The problem is the film focuses too much on the guy who's out for revenge.
Yes, and I think Rainbow Randolph is this great antagonist and could have led to the assassination attempt on Smoochy, sorry, spoilers, that happens at the ice rink, and could have been the assassin. Cue picture of the actual assassin. However, what ends up happening is Randolph has this arc and he's the backdrop to the film. So we end up with Randolph saving Smoochy from the assassin. Randolph should have been the assassin. It's a complete bloody mess. We should have had the mafia plot or the Randolph plot. If we'd had the Randolph plot, Randolph slowly in the background and torturing this man psychologically, you didn't have to have the mafia stuff at all.
No, I think that...
Or you could have had the mafia plot and no Randolph at all. Randolph could have just disappeared and been angry and you just see that happen and this guy being really upset.
Tell you what, that would have worked quite nicely. Randolph gets deposed. The mob get angry with Smoochy because he won't play ball because he's too squeaky clean. So the mob convince Randolph to kill Smoochy.
Yes.
Let's go to Smoochy's magic jungle. Smoochy's magic jungle. It's a happy place.
The comedy is very childish because
the comedy is for children.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that it's played that way with a subtlety. It's played that way accidentally almost. It's like they couldn't remember what it was they were setting out to do.
There are a couple of scenes where the comedy is obviously aimed at adults. That's mostly just swearing, though. There's one scene which...
Yeah, it's not even comedy, it's just swearing.
Yeah, there's one scene which was far too childish to be in a film aimed at adults, and they kind of try and turn that on their head. There's a bit where Robin Williams' character is, towards the end of the film, he's in Times Square and he's threatening to set fire to himself because his life is so ruined, and the crowd are just watching. This little cute girl comes up and just says, "Don't do it, Rainbow Randolph. Just because you took bribes, we still love you." And we were saying at the time, this is a scene from a children's film.
Yes.
But then she sees Smoochy in the distance and goes, "Smoochy," and runs off, and Robin Williams then obviously...
Presumably attempting comic effect.
Yeah, it seems to be aiming
Presumably, no way you could actually tell.
It's like, oh, look, we're subverting the expectations. We've got this really cute scene, but then she just buggers off to see Smoochy.
But the thing is, the scene itself subverted my expectations. I expected, the film set out to be kind of gritty and slightly realistic. It had so many problems with doing that when you have this, like, scene that's all like, oh, saccharine and nice, you don't go, oh, this is off-key. You just go, what? And then when that subverts itself, it's like, yeah. There was the comic beats never achieved themselves because the tone was so ruined all the way through the film.
It was so haphazard.
There's a moment where Bob Hoskins is looking around the club, and we're like, why is Bob Hoskins looking around the club? Is this important? And then all it does is just focus on young women's bottoms as they shake them.
Yeah.
And he goes, whoo. And we're given many seconds of footage for this. I'm like, is this important to the film? Oh no, you just wanted to show us something sexy.
Well, maybe he's really making a point that the agent character is sleazy.
Why the fuck is that important to the film? Like, I don't need to know anything about this character. It's obviously sleazy because of the way he talks to... Like, why do we need more focus on Bob Hoskins, the director of this film? That's all that seems to do.
Yeah.
Okay, following that, Assassin turns up and goes to sleep at the table in a moment of dialogue that's not interesting. And you go, oh, was that funny? So you've got here first something that's not meant to be funny, but you're wondering if they were trying to make it funny, and then something that is meant to be funny that isn't funny because they directed it badly. It's just like, where's the funny in this film? There are no laughs.
The problem with putting Robin Williams in a film like this is that in a Robin Williams film, you tend to be laughing at Robin Williams.
Yeah.
You're not really laughing at what's going... It's not like situational comedy, it's just Robin Williams being funny. And that's fine in Mrs. Doubtfire or any of the other films that we grew up with, Hook and whatever.
I like Hook.
But in this film, again, it just doesn't work with the tone. It's not appropriate.
Oh God, that was Dustin Hoffman. Sorry, carry on.
Yes. It's not appropriate to what the film not is trying to do, but is doing, I guess.
Yeah, is already trying to... Yeah, no, just doing, yeah. You know, the problem really is there's a lot of the comedy involving Robin Williams that he's given to do is falling downstairs and going boom.
He's given too much screen time and his character is too slapstick.
Yes, his character's slapstick. The comedy that results from Robin Williams' character is slapstick. That's not what you give him to do. That's not the actor he's there to be. Look at Mrs. Doubtfire, look at Aladdin. That's his job.
Yeah. Yeah, he should be sort of more witty and charismatic. Whereas in this, like I said, all the characters are unlikable. So he's just flouncing about on screen, basically.
And he should have variety in the things he's given to do, rather than just stupid. He's not Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey can do stupid really well. You give Jim Carrey a character who is laughed at by the audience, and he can do that in a way that has pathos. I'm thinking particularly of things like Liar Liar. You know, it was me.
Yeah.
Robin Williams can't do that because instantly more tragic to look at. And just in the way he portrays himself. Yeah, Jim Carrey can do that, and you can go, yeah, Jim Carrey, you're all right. Whereas like Robin Williams is given stuff like that in this film, maybe you could just go, oh God, oh no.
Right. So bearing in mind his character in this film,
yes,
but also bearing in mind the tone of the film.
Well, right, to establish that very clearly, the tone of the film is attempting to be gritty with moments of levity, right?
In fact, this one half sentence I'm going to read you sums up the whole tonal problems of that this film has.
Read the sentence.
So, in this hilarious, wacky comedy, Randolph Smiley, bracket, Robin Williams, 1 hour photo, insomnia.
Why those? Why those?
Well, that's the thing.
No moments of levity there.
Because it's a hilarious...
1 hour photo, he's a psychopath serial killer, right?
Well, he's a stalker, he's not a killer.
Whatever.
Yeah. In Insomnia, he's a killer. But it's like, in this hilarious, wacky comedy, you think, right, Robin Williams, yep, comedian, 1 hour photo, Insomnia. Now, those are the films that kind of fit the tone of his character in this. But he's also being a wacky comedian in this, so it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and there you go.
You can't play a gritty, wacky comedy villain.
So is that miscasting or misbilling or misdirection? There's something wrong with Robin Williams being in this film. His performance isn't bad. He does the best with what he's got. I don't think he's the best person to be that person.
When you just said then, was it miscast? Instantly, name popped into my head.
Go on.
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman might have played his part very well.
If you think of Alan Rickman in Galaxy Quest...
Shit, man. Alan Rickman.
How did I come to this?
Not again.
I played Richard III.
5 curtain calls.
There were 5 curtain calls. I was an actor once. Damn it, now look at me. Look at me! I can't go out there and I won't say that stupid line one more time. By Grabthar's hammer. What a savings.
He hates himself for what he's become. He's so dry.
That's Rainbow Randolph. Rainbow Randolph is sardonic. His humour is self-hating.
Well, it should be.
So, Death to Smoochy needed Alan Rickman.
Yeah, more Alan Rickman.
By Grabthar's... Next.
Okay, so I'm just having difficulties now trying to remember if there was anything in this film that made me laugh. I'm pretty sure there was something other than the credits, which are funny.
The credits made us laugh a lot.
The first time we watched it.
The first time. The second time, I'd forgotten they were coming, so I laughed again, but yeah.
I knew it was the only thing I really remembered about the film.
Let's talk about the credits. The credits are really funny.
Rainbow Gandalf has been reinstated. He and Smoochy are friends, so they're dancing on ice at the ice rink, and ridiculous, they're like flying everywhere and they're doing somersaults and all this kind of thing. And then
it's symbolic.
And then the credits flash up on the screen.
Look at that font. That is fucking Comic Sans. Comic Sans. Who uses Comic Sans for anything?
I was downhearted. Disappointment was my closest friend. But then you came and he soon departed. And you know he never showed his face again. That's why your love keeps on lifting me higher, higher and higher. I said your love keeps on lifting me higher and higher. All right.
I hate Comic Sans so much.
I hate it too.
I remember being 12 and thinking it was really cool.
And that's sort of why you hate it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, it's wacky fun. But everyone knows, everyone can recognise very easily, and is the most unprofessional font possibly to use in anything.
Yeah.
It's ghastly.
Yeah, now, when we did Dr. T and the Women, we gave it 3 out of 10. Well, you gave it 3 out of 10. I couldn't even give it a score. And I thought, wouldn't it be a funny little quirk in our ex-rental reviews if we always gave the films 3 out of 10? But I couldn't live with myself.
No, this is Death to Smoochy.
Yeah.
You can't just go 3 out of 10 flippantly.
Can you do 0 out of 10? Or is 1 the lowest you can generally go on a scale?
Well, no. The scale starts at 0 and ends at 9, and there's a... Sorry? Ends at 10.
So if you had a scale starting here at 0 and ending about, let's say, there for 10,
okay,
it's going to be at 0. Oh, it was miserable. I don't know how I coped the first time. I don't know.
You were miserable at the end of the film. You were inconsolably unhappy. So 0, is it?
0 out of 10. Yeah, I'm not even going to actually go on and make the points I was going to make because I'm done with it. 0 out of.
So Chris, death to Smoochy.
Yeah, I feel I should probably craft someone somewhere put effort into this. So I don't really feel like I should kick it. I'm gonna stand it back up.
Yeah, well, feel what you will, you bastard.
Oh Jesus! Oh.